The recent statement of the Honorable Chief Minister that he wants to try to make Konkani the language for our High Court, in my personal view, would be welcome, because that would help a lot of people, especially those who cannot afford to bring a lawyer, would like to argue cases themselves, are comfortable in the Konkani language to argue their case. But I see certain difficulties, and the difficulty which I see is in Article 348 of the Constitution. Article 348 of the Constitution provides that notwithstanding anything in the foregoing provision of this part, until Parliament by law otherwise provides, all proceedings in the Supreme Court and in every High Court shall be in English. There is a proviso there which is clause 2, which allows the governor of a state may, with the previous consent of the President, authorize the use of Hindi language or any other language used for any official purpose of the state in proceeding in the High Court having its principal seat in that state. Now please watch these words carefully. It allows the governor of a state to make a request to the President of India, which means the request is a previous request, a previous consent has to be obtained from the President by the governor of the state, to use, besides Hindi, any other language used for official purpose, which means he can make a request to use Konkani. But there is one small clause here. In the proceedings in the High Court having its principal seat in that state. This part will be the touchy part. The Bombay High Court, which extends its jurisdiction to Goa, is a common High Court for Bombay, Maharashtra and Goa. And its principal seat is in Mumbai. So therefore we don't have a principal seat in Goa. So I am only apprehensive that the government of Goa will not be able to overcome this constitutional provision, and probably this plea or this move by the Honorable Chief Minister, I don't think will be fructified unless there's a constitutional amendment, because otherwise the provision to make the amendment can be only made by a request by the governor of that state. The governor of Maharashtra is not the governor of Goa. The governor of Maharashtra cannot make a request for Goa government, and vice versa. The governor of Goa is not the governor of Maharashtra. The governor of Goa cannot make the request because the High Court is not having the principal seat in Goa, and therefore I think it will be stuck on account of this provision. In addition, most of the judges of the Bombay High Court don't know Konkani. There are only few judges of the Bombay High Court who are from Goa who know Konkani. So it will be very difficult for the judges to understand or interact, especially when they are on the single bench, and if it's in the division bench, the two judges are there. It will be very difficult to start translating and communicating. But there is one more aspect. If you remember, I read the first part of Article 348, which means the Parliament can make legislation. But the Parliament can make legislation for a High Court. Don't forget that we have a High Court, which is a common High Court for Maharashtra and Goa. And therefore we don't have a separate High Court for Goa. So the central government on its part also cannot make exception and provide that Konkani will be language for Goa, because if it makes such language, it has to make the order or the provision to enable the language of Konkani to be utilized in the Bombay High Court as an additional language. I also see such type of difficulties which can arise across other states in India where they have common high courts. Therefore it will be difficult like this to make provisions, and I think it will be a distant dream to have this realized.